All right, guys, welcome back to Cold Pizza Watch Reviews. Today I'm getting around to doing a video that I put off for a while because I wanted to make sure I would do his collection justice, and that is the watches of Anthony Bourdain. A lot of YouTubers ran out and did videos when he first passed away in 2018, and they would talk about 3 or 4 of his watches, and that was it. But I'm going to talk about 13. So let's get right into it. The most commonly watch that you see him wear is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Date. That's reference 115210, 34mm case diameter, blue dial, engine turn bezel. That's the one you see in this famous picture where he's hugging his daughter here. That watch sold for $48,750. Next is pretty much almost the same thing but bigger. He got a Rolex Datejust, smooth bezel, oyster bracelet, blue dial, 41mm. So he basically just went up in size, seems to favor that style. Moving on, he had a Rolex Explorer I, 39mm. Cannot find images of this, but it is verified that he did own an Explorer I, 39mm. This next one I think suits him so well. It's the one that he wears in that picture behind me. That's the Panerai Radiomir 1940. Now this one doesn't have the traditional Panerai crown guard, and it's got thin little wire lugs and black dial, 45mm case diameter. So a little bit bigger wearing watch, but for him coming in at 6'4", I think he can pull that off. Now that watch sold at auction for $33,750. This next one was a gift from his dad. Can't find a lot of pictures of it. This image here shows him wearing it, and that's a silver dial Oyster Perpetual 34mm that we know his dad did give him one. I don't know the reference number. We don't know the date. We can probably say 60s, late 60s, but don't hold me to it. If you know better, post in the comments below, but not a lot of images of him wearing that watch. Next, probably the coolest watch of them all, blacked out Milgauss. Before the Milgauss was cool, I mean, you couldn't say any of these watches fit him any better than this blacked out Milgauss. That's perfect. Amazing watch. So there he is wearing it. It's hard to find more images of it, but he did have that. His whole collection is just awesome. I mean, as I go through it, here we are, Patek Philippe, Calatrava. I mean, small secondhand, see-through case back, 33mm, 18 karat gold. Love that watch. And that one only sold for $26,250 at auction. Next is one that his dad also gave him. But what's weird is there's an engraving on the back that says presented to H.D. Bobbitt. I don't know what that means, but this was a gift from his dad. It's a Rolex 9 karat rose gold, 1930, 31mm. So that one only sold at auction for $16,562. Can't find any pictures of him wearing that. And what you start to see here with his collection is that his dad obviously stirred his interest in Rolex really early on with these gifts. But next is not a Rolex, and you'll see him wearing this. I recommend you go rent the documentary called Roadrunner about his life, and you'll see him wearing this tag Heuer Monaco. A lot of YouTubers never covered that he owned that, but you'll see him wearing that in No Reservations, and you're going to see it in this documentary, Roadrunner. So he did have a tag Heuer Monaco. Next was one that I did not know that he owned. I can't find any images of him wearing it, but we know that he owned it because it sold at auction. That's the Ball Fireman Storm Chaser limited edition. Now that one sold for $10,312 at auction, but he did have a Ball Fireman. This next one I think is probably the funniest of them all. I don't know how he wound up with this. I do know that he had some Filson jackets, but it's a CC Filson Smoky the Bear. Only you can prevent wildfires watch. So I don't have an image of him wearing it, but he did own it because it was sold along with some of his other things to benefit charity at auction for $12,732. So this other one, this one threw me for a loop. whenever I'd watch any of his shows, I could not figure this watch out to save my life. It's the Ernst Benz Worldtimer Chronoflite. That was never on my radar whenever I would see him wearing this thing. And you'll see it in Roadrunner and in No Reservations, but it's an Ernst Benz Worldtimer Chronoflite, 47 millimeter on steel bracelet. It's a GMT. He wore it quite a bit. Then lastly, and I'm probably going to say this name wrong, a Jacot Locle coin silver pocket watch that we do know he owned. It also sold at auction, but I don't have any images of, obviously him walking around with a pocket watch, but he did own the Jacot Locle coin silver pocket watch. It sold at auction for $13,125. So guys, that's 13 watches that he owned. He obviously was a watch guy, and I highly respect that and appreciated it. If there's any that I missed, let me know. And again, not rumors. I need some verification because I would like to come back and maybe do a part 2 if I missed any watches, because not all of them were auctioned off that he owned. So I'd love to know if you have any insight to watches that Anthony Bourdain owned that are not on this list. Leave it in the comments below. Hey, and as always, appreciate you tuning in to Cold Pizza Watch Reviews.